Well, today I did my very first live video, something I would have thought I would never do in this world. And what I did was I read a children's story. And I said that I would be reading a children's story every morning at 11:11. And now it's 11:11 at night. So I thought I would read a few poems for the grown-ups who are awake. And it's 11:11, which means you can make a wish. I have a feeling I know what a lot of us are wishing for, but you get to make your own wish. So I thought I would read tonight from this beautiful book by Ruth Stone, who was a friend of mine and taught here. And so I was lucky enough to be around her a lot of the time, and lucky enough also to be asked to write an article about her, which gave me a chance to read her poems, and that's why I have so many of them marked anyway. So I'm going to start with a poem called Speaking to My Dead Mother, not because that sounds like a very cheerful poem, but because it starts in Binghamton. So it's called Speaking to My Dead Mother by Ruth Stone. At 2 a.m. in Binghamton, it's quiet. I did not comfort you with one last kiss. Your death was my death. Instinct ran riot. I ran, didn't hold your hand at the abyss. My life had gone like grass fire, like the trees in drought caught in the burning wind. And June returns, another cycled year. Sweet peas, dahlias, phlox, the orchard I can't prune, your small garden gloves, remnants of crystal stemware. It wears away. I cannot bar the passage. Jewel weed shoots its pistol pouch of seeds, and the storm, like a guitar, thrums over the mountain. All that brooded, ignorant, in your safe arms, concluded. Hi, Dan Kelly. Yeah, she was such a beautiful poet, right? And the storm, like a guitar, thrums over the mountain. Man, girl could write. So, this one, also by Ruth Stone, is called The Follies of My Youth. Hi, Fedwa. I hope I'm saying that right. So this is the book I'm reading from. It's called What Love Comes To. New and selected poems by Ruth Stone. She lived to be 105. And I was lucky enough to know her for some of those years. Neil Berkey, you're right. Poetry heals. And one of my favorite things about Ruth Stone is she would come to the department meetings at Binghamton University, and people would be talking, and sort of suddenly out of nowhere she would pipe up and say, "Poetry saves lives! Poetry saves lives!" And everyone would look startled for a second, and then they'd go back to talking about, whatever they were talking about. So yes, I think that Ruth Stone would agree. Poetry heals. This one is called The Follies of My Youth. It's taken me 85 years to become mediocre. How brilliant I was, how I threw it away like used Kleenex. I never walked the side streets of New York. I never played tennis. I never swam in the Olympic pool. I know my boundaries. My neighbor's daughter married into the Hog drugstore and died of uterine cancer at 30. What was all that for? At a party given by this new rich family, I ignored my partner, the short brother. The short brother and the tall brother were twins. I wanted to dance with the tall one. The short one went inside and cried. His mother made cruel remarks about me. Could I have done the same as the neighbor's daughter, married the short hog brother, and died young too? Here I am, old and poor. Where is that short twin now? Where is his loyal mother? But I didn't think of bettering myself. There were too many books in the world. There was so much I wanted to read. Hi, Rich. Hi, Robin and Ellen. So I'm reading a few poems from this book that I love by Ruth Stone called What Love Comes To, New and Selected Poems. She lived in Binghamton and taught at the university for a while. This is a shorter poem by Ruth. It's called Connections. What my eye sees goes into the dark and passes, packet by packet, along the ledge, over the abyss between the lobes. It goes so far, I think I cannot get it back, and when I least expect, some of it returns, not simple as it was or seemed, but now complex and freighted with the universe. I think Ruth Stone felt one with the universe more than almost anybody else I ever knew. I honestly think she felt that, the bugs and the squirrels were every bit as worthy as she was. Yes, think. R.G. Evans. Is that the name of one of Ruth's poems? Or is that a comment to me? I'm hoping it's the name of a poem. And I'm going to read just two more. So, this one is called The Excuse. She wrote a lot about poetry because, poetry was such a big part of her life for so long. She used to say that she grew up with music running alongside her like a river. And she had that sense of music in her. Her father was a drummer. The Excuse. R.G. Evans is saying yes. So I will look for yes, think, and see if I can find it. Do they write poems when they have something to say, something to think about, rubbed from the world's hard rubbing in the excess of every day? The summer I was 24 in San Francisco. You and I. The whole summer seemed like a cable car ride over the Gold Bay. But once in a bistro, angry at one another, we quarreled about a taxi fare. I doubt that it was the fare we quarreled about, but one excuse is as good as another. In the excess of passion, in the need to be worn away. Do they know it is cleanness of skin, firmness of flesh that matters? It is so difficult to look at the deprived or smell their decay. But now I am among them. I too am a leper, a warning. I hold out my crippled fingers. My voice flatters. Everyone who comes this way, in the weeds of mourning, groaning and gnashing, I display myself in malodorous comic wrappings and tatters, in the excess of passion, in the need to be worn away. Hi, Dan. Rebecca, I'm glad to introduce you to Ruth Stone. She used to play the comic a lot, almost the clown. But underneath all that laughter and clowning, you knew that there was somebody just absolutely brilliant and wise. So, Mr. Evans, I will try to find your poem and maybe read it tomorrow night at 11:11 when I move on to another poet. But this last poem for now is called Curtains by Ruth Stone. Putting up new curtains other windows intrude, as though it is that first winter in Cambridge when you and I had just moved in. Now, cold borscht alone in a bare kitchen. What does it mean if I say this years later? Listen, last night I am on a crying jag with my landlord, Mr. Tempesta. I sneaked in 2 cats. He screams, "No pets, no pets!" I become my Aunt Virginia, proud but weak in the head. I remember Anna Magnani. I throw a few books, I shout. He wipes his eyes and opens his hands. Okay, okay, keep the dirty animals, but no nails in the walls. We cry together. I am so nervous, he says. I want to dig you up and say, look, it's like the time, remember? When I ran into our living room naked to get rid of that fire inspector. See what you miss by being dead? Well, that was Ruth Stone, and she's a wonderful poet. So if you don't know her work, it might be a good time to go find it. And thank you guys for listening. And I'll be back again tomorrow night at 11:11, where we can make a wish together and think about poetry and read some poems. Take care and be well.